Peace. It's the love dealer Tunde, Lotus, the Leatherwing Fairy, and this is our 7th episode of Tunde Talks, and today we're talking about hustle and flow. Hustle and flow today refers to the need to achieve one's goals and to solidify a lane or way for oneself in life versus the natural occurrences and circumstances of life. Okay, so as young people, we grind and strive to achieve our goals and to make a way for ourselves and for our future. As visionaries, we want to get the most out of life. Getting the most out of life is getting the abundance, the meat and potatoes out of life. And if you're going to do that, you have to delve a little bit deeper. So we're going to look at things through different eyes. We're going to examine them with not just our physical selves, the part of ourselves that say we want to be successful and we want to lead wonderful, happy lives. We want to also do it with the side of ourselves that adheres to our spirit and our soul. So we want to go deeper and see, where do our passions lead us? Where do our purpose in life take us? What feeds our soul? Okay, so there's an easy way to do so that isn't just delving into yourself and meditating every day. It is also examining how you move throughout life. Okay, so the things that attract you, the places you find yourself, and with whom you find yourself with most often when you're feeling inspired, when you're feeling your best self. So aligning ourselves with these things can often lead us to our lane and can work for us in that hustle and get that abundance that we're predestined to get. So when we delve a little bit deeper and we examine ourselves and we look at the people that we surround ourselves with and the places that we frequent, we can see a pattern in these things and say, you know what, I've really been aligning myself with the artistic community, and I see myself being in this community because this is what feeds my soul. This is what really makes me happy. And in doing so, we can grind in those pursuits, and we'll find that there'll be a lot more doors open for us and a lot more opportunities available for us, readily available for us. And oftentimes we're not grinding or working as hard as it may seem for someone on the outside looking in. When you are predestined for something, when you are working in your lane and in your pursuits of your passion and your purpose, this hustle isn't really a hustle at all. It's simply waking up every day and doing the things that you love. So what we're doing is we're looking at the word hustle through different eyes. We're hustling with our spirit and we're hustling with our inner selves. So it's not really a hustle at all. But what we have to always take into consideration is the flow. So the flow here takes on two definitions. So what we have is the flow of things, or the natural occurrences in life. Things that you cannot control, circumstances that you cannot physically change. Okay, so these things we always have to take into consideration. We can always use the flow to our benefit and to our advantage if we're always aware that the flow always wins. So what you have to always do is learn how to ride that wave. You need to be aligned in your passions and your purpose so that when these waves come, you will be able to take them in stride. Okay, so I'll use myself in an example of when we can use the flow to our advantage. So as a writer, I keep several journals in which I write my poetry, my thoughts, short stories, things of that nature, whatever comes to mind. So whenever I'm traveling, if ever I have my books on my person, I always keep them close because they are very, very important to me. But as life has natural occurrences and natural circumstances that I cannot control, if something happens and I lose any of my books, I am devastated. But because I am moving in my passion and in my purpose, I know that I'm always going to be writing. So if something happens beyond my control and I cannot back up my information, or I just can't get this information back, I know that writing comes naturally to me and something that I love to do. So I'm always going to do it. So the work will always come. You can cry over that spilt milk, or you can continue to grind and continue to hustle and stay in flow. So we can let situations like this make us stagnant, or we can let it put us in a depressive state, or we can grow and learn from it and keep moving, stay in flow. And when you stay in flow, you always move forward, and moving forward is always the goal. The second definition that flow takes on today is something that I derived from a documentary entitled Happy. This film was produced and directed by Roku Bellick, and this film was very, very influential for me because it was a film that really delved into happiness. As a person who adheres to several spiritual ideals, I never lose sight of the science or the factual basis of any information that I absorb, because that is what keeps me grounded. So in doing so, I was really, really impressed by the factual basis of this film and the scientific information that this film was based off of. And in this film, flow was more of a state of being. So we found people from blue collar individuals to white collar individuals who found that in doing their work, the work that made them most happy and the work that they found they got the most from, they found themselves in a state of flow, or several moments where they completely lost time, where they felt completely content where they were at that moment in time. They were not worried about their bills. They were not worried about any outside influences at that moment. They were completely content and fulfilled with what was happening in that moment in time, just off of the work that they were doing. Really, when you find yourself in a moment of flow, whatever you're doing, make a mental note of this. Put this in your memory bank as information that you use to help put you in alignment with your passion and your purpose. So if you're making music and you find yourself in moments of flow where you're spending several hours working on your craft and working on this music and working on these projects, and this really brings that fulfillment and that contentment to your life, then you need to put this down as something that maybe you need to pursue, something that you need to spend your time pursuing. Okay, so when we're hustling out there and when we're getting into hustle and flow, what we're doing is aligning ourselves with our passions and our purpose and building a better, bigger future for ourselves, not just from the outside looking in as far as money, cars, and nice clothes, but from the inside as well, because we know that we can hit the lottery today and have millions and billions of dollars and still be depressed. So make sure that whatever you're doing it for a purpose, and that you find passion in it and you can find your hustle and your flow. So as always, there's 3 points that I want to leave with you today. The first point that I want to leave with you today is alignment is the new hustle. So what we're doing now as mindful individuals is we're aligning ourselves with our passion and purpose. So whenever we have to grind or hustle, because you will have to put in the work for your goals and for your dreams, as always, that will always be the case. You want to make sure that when you are busting your ass, that you're doing it for something that you love. So when you're putting in those hours, 10 hours, 15 hours, 30 hours, whatever it is, that time to you feels purposeful, because the worst thing you can do on this planet is to waste time, because that time is blessing that was given to you and you should do with it what you please. So make sure that it is pleasurable. The next point that I want to leave with you today is getting ahead can be getting in place. So getting ahead in life doesn't necessarily mean that you have to knock anybody else out of the way or that you have to step on anybody else's toes. You don't have to be in a business dog eat dog, cutthroat, man eat man type of world, okay? Because this is your passion. This is your purpose. This right here was made for you. So who do you have to compete with? No one but yourself. So getting ahead can simply mean getting in position for what you are predestined for. The last point that I want to leave with you today is to stay in flow. Stay in flow. We're all here on the pursuit of happiness. So when you are in the pursuit of happiness, make sure that you understand that the life you lead has to flow, okay? So you have to be able to stay in flow with circumstances and with the natural occurrences of life. That is perfectly fine, and it will help make you a better master of your goals, because you will be in the understanding that shit happens. And all bosses know that shit happens. All bosses know how to work around the shit that does happen. You are a problem solver, and because you are a boss and visionary and master of your own life, you will be able to work through these problems. This has been our 7th episode of Tunde Talks. Today we talked about hustle and flow. We examined it through different eyes, and we put a new mindful millennial definition on it. I hope that this was useful information for you. Thanks for watching. Peace.